Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille. Hey guys, for those of you that are seeking intuitive insight, I provide private psychic medium readings. These sessions are designed to bring clarity and direction across areas like money, career, relationships, family dynamics, spiritual evolution, and emotional well-being. If you are ready for a deeper, more personalized support, I offer private one-on-one coaching for those navigating grief, trauma, and the complexities of toxic relationship recovery. You can schedule a discovery call using the links provided to ensure it's a comfortable fit. You'll find all booking links in the show notes of every episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Please help me welcome our guest speaker today is Claire Falcon. Claire is a psychic medium, intuition teacher based between Berlin and Pennsylvania, um, whose years of dream study and teachings have helped hundreds of people decode the language of their soul. So here's what's really cool. She and I have so much in common. This is going to be such a fun conversation. I wanted to take you up on your offer just for
Yeah,
fun. So you
yeah,
guys, Claire had suggested that I send like a dream to her. So I did.
absolutely.
Since I record my dreams, I just flipped through and found one from February actually, and
hmm
sent it over to Claire. And so Claire's going to talk about the layers
Yeah.
of the way this she interprets this. So I'm very excited to hear what you have.
Okay. Very cool. So what we'll do is we'll take our time with it because it's a lovely teaching moment because people will be able to see it and some of the
Yeah.
information they will be able to apply tonight, right?
Yeah.
So we'll take it nice and slow so that people can see it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it in a manner where, and I should say this beforehand. Interpreting a dream and using a framework, specifically in the very beginning, will allow you to get real comfortable with trying to understand your dreams and trying to
Mhm.
be like, okay, what is the message and what is here and what is there? So when you walk through it, it's almost like looking at layers and allowing it to unfold. But because it's very personal, there's almost like it's a way of looking at it and saying, okay, I know this dream is saying something, but what is it saying for April, right? Really
Yeah.
becomes the main goal because it's not like a psychic reading, right? It's not even like
Hmm.
a mediumship reading. It's more of like we're looking at the way your soul is communicating. Let's unpack it for you. So I'll take you through the framework that I always use.
Okay.
What's really great with a dream is, and this is actually a little bit of something that somebody has never studied dreams can do tonight, is that the first thing to ask yourself in a dream was, what was the overarching emotion in the dream? Because that is the soul telling you this emotion that you've identified in the dream is occurring in your life somewhere, and
Hold
this is
on.
the life area that I'd like to talk about.
Let
So,
me pull that dream up so I can
no
follow along
problem.
with you because I'm just like, I already don't even remember what I've sent
Of
you.
course, right?
So
And
let
it
me go pull that up real
Go
quick.
ahead, and while you do it, I'll explain why it's so important is because, this is the planet of emotions. We are a human being with so many emotions. So when you look at the emotion of a dream, it allows you, almost in a shortcut fashion, to be like, okay, is if I could get maybe the meaning, I could get maybe this, especially if you're in the very beginning. But if you can identify the emotion that was happening in the dream, not the way you feel about it now, right? Not the way that
Mhm.
you think it could be, but in the actual story that was unfolding, if you can identify the overarching emotion, it's going to give you a very clear-cut signal to be like, okay, the soul wants to talk about how this emotion is
Yeah.
coming up in your actual waking life. So, April, if I were to ask you, and actually, let me ask a question before we do that.
Okay.
You
So
know how
I pulled up February 25th. Is that what I gave you?
you gave me February 25th, right? Missing the it begins with missing the flight.
Okay, so you have so just real quick, I
Yeah.
have anywhere between like 1 and 6 dreams per night. So if
Okay.
they're broken up, it's because dream one, two, three, four.
That's exactly my question to you. It felt like the
Yeah.
first paragraph and the second paragraph are one dream.
Yeah.
And is the third one a separate one or is it part of that dream? Because that would be important to know before we look at it. So it's
Okay.
like,
Missing the flight was one.
that's right. And the second one is still a part of that first dream, right? Or is it a second
The
dream?
second one is, hold on.
No problem.
I'm trying to remember if that's two, three, or hold on. I think the paragraph 2 and 3 went together. They meshed together at some point.
Okay.
Then the surprise Easter thing was separate. That was a
It
sep
feels
that was
separate,
that was
right?
a third
Okay.
dream. Yeah, that was
I
completely
thought.
separate.
So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll take paragraph 1 and 2 maybe as one dream, but maybe meshing together a little bit. But we'll take the third paragraph as a separate dream. Is that right? Does that ring true
So
for you?
paragraph 1, the flight thing, separate. Two and
Separate.
2 and 3 might have meshed together a little bit in the
I
middle.
see. Very good.
And then the Easter thing is a third separate. Like
Okay.
it's separate by itself.
Yeah. Okay. So when we look at like a couple of different dreams happening in a night, we can definitely then say, okay, it's a part of a whole story that is
For
being
sure.
broken up, right?
Right.
Sometimes, though, it can be completely separate, and certainly dreams that you have after 3 a.m. For some reason, dreams after 3 a.m. tend to look to the future and they tend
Okay.
to look at what is coming, right? And this
Okay.
is like a little bit, it's not a dictated rule of thumb, but this can definitely be something that we start to see. And I only mention that because people do dream in fragments. So
Yeah.
let's say whatever you believe to be one dream, maybe it's I'm having the conversation with my mom, right? Whatever you believe to be one, if you don't feel like the flight is a part of that other one, if you feel like the flight is a separate one,
The flight
what
is totally a separate one.
yeah. So let's take it with I'm having a conversation with my mom and she tells me about a guy that Aunt Dara is friends with. If you were to take just that paragraph, right, where it
Hmm.
goes even at the end about the Frankenstein guy,
Hmm.
what is the overarching emotion of that part of the dream?
So
What
hold
would you,
on.
yeah. And take your time.
I would say about betrayal and disappointment within family dynamics.
Right? And that was like in the overarching emotion of the dream. So
Hmm.
immediately we know for you that when I come back to those categories,
Hmm.
of like sometimes we're dreaming about spiritual stuff, sometimes we're dreaming about physical stuff. This falls into the category of emotional and psychological dreams, right?
For
And this
sure.
would be one of those heavy hitters that all of us have, right? These are the most
Hmm.
common dreams that we have.
Hmm.
So we know it's about betrayal, and we know that it's about those themes in the that are happening in your current life, or
Hmm.
things that you're still unfolding in your current life as a theme. And we know that it's happening in such an environment that it's giving you emotional and psychological input, understanding, reflecting,
Absolutely.
etc.
Yeah.
So this is why it's super helpful in the beginning to know this because right away the dreamer knows, okay, this is a message for how that's happening in my waking life. And it could be like you're literally dealing with it right now, or it's that you're literally dealing with it in the sense
With
of,
the emotion of it right now.
right, with
Yeah.
the emotion of it right now,
Yeah.
right? And
I
it can
could
be,
still just be healing that.
right, that's right. And that's why it's incumbent upon the dreamer to know
Hmm.
because it could be like I'm literally going through this right now, or I'm really still digesting, even if it was 5 years ago about what's
Yeah.
going down, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so we immediately know that that it has the ability to hone in on that. So we can expect advice and reflection from the soul in it.
Yeah.
And so then the second or third step that you want to do is you want to ask yourself, okay, what are the symbols that are coming to me here, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I'm going to go through these with you. And this is a great teaching moment because it talks a lot about often in dreams, and this is a little bit where you have to say there's a fork in the road with psychic mediums, but let's pretend that none of us are psychic mediums right now.
Okay.
Where when I dream about other people, it's not that I'm having a dream about you. Now, in psychic mediumship, especially if you're a practicing psychic medium, of
That
course that's
was, I was gonna
true,
say that's
right?
scary. That's weird territory, but yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's both, right?
Yeah.
And and so now we're going to pretend we're not psychic mediums, and we're just going to
Okay.
pretend that we're having a dream where other people are there, right?
Okay.
When I dream about a different person,
Hmm.
I'm dreaming about an aspect of them that is reflected in me or
Hmm.
that is maybe triggered by my relationship with them, right?
Or it
So
could be even something, right? Like that we are inspired by some
that's right.
quality that they have,
That's
or
right. And
yeah. Okay.
so that's when you want to ask yourself, and that's when because often people will be like, I had a dream about you. And sometimes that's true. And unless you're a psychic medium, it's often that one aspect of them that can be inspiring or the opposite
Or the opposite. Yeah.
right? Is being like kind of, again, how symbols work is being communicated to you through that person.
Right.
And so the great thing for you here is that you have many different people that are
Yeah.
involved in this, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to ask you from these people, and we'll go nice and slow for it,
Okay.
if you were to say, what is the defining characteristic of them, or what is the core essence of them? And this can go either way. Like, and I'll give you an example. Like, let's say I dreamt of Sheila and she was a friend of mine. I could be like, Claire, if I think about it, Sheila is the most spiritual person I know. Or I could even say, if I think about it, Claire, I love Sheila, but she always gets like dogged out and like gossip. And I see how it really makes her unravel. So it's like for you, the
Okay.
defining aspect of that person. So we're going to go through a couple for you because in this dream we had a lot of different characters.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of layers here.
there's a lot of layers here. So we'll go quickly through. So it's your mother, it's Aunt Dara, Uncle Gary, Lee Martin, Brayden, and Carrie.
So Lee Martin's just a name. It's not somebody I know.
Very good. Okay.
That was just the name that presented itself.
Yeah.
Right. So that was I'm just going to say
Okay.
probably more of a visitation actually.
Got it.
In that part.
Got it.
Um, okay, Brayden's my son,
Mm-hmm.
Carrie's my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and we have Uncle Gary, Aunt Darren, Mom. Okay, so you're wanting me to talk about core
Kind of like
things.
their defining characteristic, or like for you, what is the, like their defining essence, kind of like what I said about like if I dreamt of my friend Sheila, right, and she was in the dream, regardless of what went down, regardless of what the movement was in the dream, see her as a symbol. So for you, what is the defining characteristic of her? And it could be something like this. Aunt
Well,
Dara was
mom itself is a defining characteristic, right? Because this is supposed
it's
to
a
be
symbolism. Yeah,
nurturing some sort of authority, safety, right? That's defining in
that's right.
itself, in of itself.
That's right. If,
Um,
if there was a personalized thing about your mom too, though, that's when you could go even deeper. But we
right,
can take
right.
the universal one.
Right. So
Absolutely.
I'll do both.
Okay.
The universal, there's a lot of female energy between the aunt, the mom, the cousin, Carrie. So
Hmm.
I'm going to just say, the divine feminine coming in there and what that's supposed to represent in my life,
Okay.
or lack thereof. I'm just going to say lack thereof.
Okay.
And then my mom personally, my first knee-jerk reaction would be addiction,
Got
right?
it.
So I think addiction, I think underdeveloped, even though that's like exactly where she's supposed to be. This is not
Sure.
about like shaming. This is more just
No.
like
Okay.
recognition, right?
Yep.
Of where
Got
it's
it.
where it's at in my life. Um, but also the strongest connection I have with a parent.
Very good.
Okay. So
Hmm.
then that immaturity leaks over to the aunt.
Got it.
Um, so lots of between both of them, there's gossiping, victim mentality,
Hmm.
talking bad behind people's backs because oh my God, anything to make us look like the hero and the victim, right?
I
Like
see. I
that whole
see.
thing. The both love pets and animals a lot, and they're very protective of that. I would say they're really great advocates for that. So
Okay.
there's lots that I could go into, but for the sake of time, I
That's
probably
good.
won't.
That's
Um,
good. Yep.
I'm going to say addiction with
Hmm.
mom, aunt, uncle.
Hmm.
I'm going to say Brayden and cousin
Hmm.
are more like me, zero addiction at all, zero.
Okay.
Like,
So if you were to think about like Brayden and Carrie from like a personality standpoint, what's like a defining characteristic that really stands out to you?
The cousin is extreme, like an extremist when it comes to religion and traditional, um, saving self for marriage, all those things, and is still the same age as me and saving self for marriage. So like very
Got
extreme,
it.
like super
Got it.
extreme, super in the Bible, super like it's in there, right?
Got it. Yep.
Um, Brayden is my son.
Yep.
Um, Very good kid, good head on his shoulders, extreme hard worker, lots
Good.
of personality, fun, also no addictions whatsoever. None of us
Got it.
are into poisoning our bodies in any shape or form.
Anyway,
Right.
got it. Okay. So, and this is you got a heavy hitter with all of the personal people, right? With all of the
Right.
people
Yeah.
normally
Yeah.
one or maybe two. So immediately when we know that there are many people who come up, and it's not just like a friend and a neighbor, for you it's all family. We know we have a big soul group theme,
Yeah,
right? So
absolutely. Yeah. We've been here before. We've done this before.
right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like we not only have then the personality about how April sees them and about how our soul is communicating through the symbolism of their personality. Then we
Hmm.
have another layer where it's all family members. So we know we've got a soul group theme, right? We know
Right.
we're
Well, and
running
even on the Bible, the front page of the Bible, it talks
precisely.
about the family tree. So this is all rooted in family and ancestral stuff.
And then it's like one other layer, and you like literally took the words right out of my mouth. It's like, okay, if we know we're dealing with soul group dynamics and we
Right.
know that we're dealing with families, what other symbols can we see here? And I'll pick them
Yeah.
out for you like really quickly.
Yeah.
It's of course, it's whoever Lee Martin is, right? And this could literally be an ancestor of you and you don't even know,
No
right?
clue. Yeah. I
It's
haven't figured
it's
that out
the
yet.
right? And it's the symbolism of the family tree, right? The family tree is in and of itself a symbol. The Holy Bible is a distinct symbol as well, right?
Hmm.
The other, and then I'll read it aloud a little bit because the dream goes little bit further. So we've got the just so
Hmm.
I can keep it as a teaching moment. I'll do a little quick summary before I do it. We know it's an emotional psychological dream. We
Hmm.
know that we're dealing with things about betrayal, and we know that we're dealing with things about like family dynamics. And we know that that's pinpointing to something that you are dealing with in your waking life, either reviewing it or it can be, contemporary, what have you. We
Hmm.
know we have a lot of symbols of personal family members, so we're looking at a soul group dynamic. And then we know that we have the Bible, the family tree coming as symbols. And
Hmm.
then as the dream unfolds, we know specifically, do you mind if I read it aloud?
Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah,
All right.
I'm not shy.
Cool. So I also remember some Frankenstein type creature breaking free and coming to hurt me, but I found
Yeah.
wasp spray and sprayed it in his eye. So the Frankenstein, a generality would be about a monster, right? A monster-like creature.
Yeah.
And then I want to pinpoint something here that's really great about dream language. It could have been anything in the world that you grasped for, but it was specifically a wasp, right? It's wasp spray. And
Wasp
it was,
spray, which is super
right?
just like a mild irritant, whatever.
Right? Yeah. And it's like it's specifically something like that. It could have been anything in the dream, but
Yeah.
the dreams have a way of communicating something very deliberately, and I'll show you in a moment why.
Right.
And then we come up to rubbing his boy parts, going into the room, him having
Hmm.
a way with you, right? Making sure that you're doing performing in a way so you're not faking it. So if
Yeah.
we just this paragraph, now we know we have three-fourths of the way we're in, and we haven't even brought it together yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you look at something like a Frankenstein type creature,
Yeah.
it mainly references to either an emotional dynamic or a dynamic in your life that's like a monster coming for you. It's something that is eating at you, or it's something that you have to confront and look at, but it's something that is like conflicting and is causing a little bit of like emotional distress, right? And
Right.
specifically when it's doing something like coming for me or coming to get me or chasing me, like I talked about in the recurring dream a little bit before.
Hmm.
So we know that that's like a heavy symbolism. Whenever we dream about insects, right? This is wasp spray, right? But we're going to go a little bit with the wasp. Is that if we dream about like an insect, be it a bee or anything, and it's in this dynamic where it's like I'm trying to either fend it off or it's associated with trying to fend off, it's a stinging problem that
Hmm.
is a bit of like stinging at you or biting at you or things of this nature.
Hmm.
Taking it and trying to spray it in his eyes is a real deep indicator of I'm trying to make sure that I get at the kind of like most vulnerable point so that I get it and I get it away from me and that it can't
Yeah.
see me and it can't chase me, right?
Yeah.
And it's all represented with that. When it goes into dreams of like sexuality, right? Like clearly seducing him and him also like forcing you into a room and making you perform oral and making sure that you know you're
Yeah.
not faking it. We're
Yeah.
going into areas where we're talking about vulnerability that comes with exploitation, sexual
Yeah.
exploitation
Yeah.
that comes with, and it can even be like emotional exploitation, right? It's coming up as a sexual theme here,
Yeah.
right?
So
Like,
I'm just going to stop you right there.
yeah,
There. there are themes of sex workers in my family.
All right, got it.
So I just,
Total sense.
right, it
Thank you.
all makes sense. So I just want
Yep.
to go ahead and put that in there now.
Very good. Very good. And so when we start to really look at it and try to understand it, and okay, see, okay, now comes the task of like bringing it all together, right? And I want to jump back here really quickly to the Holy Bible and to the
Okay.
book.
Okay.
I love to call these the little anchor symbolisms
Hmm.
because they try to give like a meta nuanced way of telling you this is what I'm actually talking about, right?
Yeah.
The Holy Bible can be represented by a holy book. It can even be the Akashic records, even if
Yeah.
it takes the form of a Bible.
Yeah.
It can be the tree of life, right?
Hmm.
And it can be like deep spiritual awareness of what's going on. So when we try to bring all of these together, we know that April, as the dreamer, is dealing with themes of that are representative of emotional disturbances brought on by betrayal and things of betrayal that are related to sex, but also emotional vulnerability of people taking advantage of people.
Hmm.
But we know we're dealing with it from an aspect where it is a soul group dynamic that
Hmm.
represents the soul group tree of life, if you will. And especially when you see a family tree at the beginning of the Bible, that different characters on different levels are dealing with these themes in a varying like degree. And when I know when you were saying about going through all of these cast of characters, I know that the way that we know that people are dealing with these in different ways is that two of the aunts, Aunt Dara and your mom, which I'm assuming that's her sister, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, are dealing with these dynamics that are coming up vis-a-vis the book of life. They're dealing it where they have maybe succumbed to some addiction, but they've also dealt with it in a manner where they are maintaining emotional aspects of them that still maintain the nurturing aspect vis-a-vis what you were talking about, the divine feminine, but also the care of animals.
Yeah.
So we know that there's been and going through those soul lessons of victimhood. And then we know on like a different tier level of different souls is that Carrie, is her name Carrie?
Hmm.
Is dealing with it very differently than Brayden. Brayden is dealing with it in such a manner where hardworking, he's continuing on, got a good head on his shoulder. And Carrie is dealing with it where she's really more going the extremist path, right? She's
Hmm.
choosing a religious,
Hmm.
no sex before marriage, very religious connotation with it. So we not only know how this soul group is dealing with it and how far they're coming in their soul group with dealing with these family themes,
Right.
but we also know how you are dealing with it. And that's
Hmm.
with the second half of it, right? And
Hmm.
we know that probably within you, even though you don't, it could or could not be like, even if I were to say it's not you and it was someone else, if I were to read this, I would know, okay, this person might have been susceptible to addiction in their past life, or maybe
Hmm.
even in earlier in this life. They maybe could have assumed a more victimhood or addiction to it. But I also know, just like Brayden and just like Carrie, that they have the ability to be hardworking, to be balanced, to look at it, to know what they're doing. But they also have a connotation within them to have a religious susceptibility. Not, I don't want to say susceptibility, but could go that route of dealing with it. So like kind of like almost like the choice that you have made are different than the soul group, those in your soul group. But the representation of all of those people are dynamics even within you that you
Hmm.
consciously either decide to imbue, or
Hmm.
that you actively say, no, I'm not going that route.
Yeah.
And so finally, what we know about when it goes into the Frankenstein and when about the wasp and what have you, we know that for you dealing with these emotional psychological underpinnings, that at time it's a bit biting. That time it's a bit like how do I make sure that I deal with this in such a manner where I don't feel plagued by it, or that I'm running from it, or that I'm hunted by it, and
Hmm.
how do I do it in such a manner that I don't want to be put into an emotional and vulnerable state where I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, or I feel as if, this, that basically a decision that I don't want it to be a part of my soul's work or my life work. And that's what I would say to someone that was dealing with all of that. And I would say that is actually an incredibly positive thing,
Hmm.
because when I see that many people rock up in a dream of a soul group, and that many different understandings of where they are on these levels. And
Mhm.
then also the appearance of the Holy Bible specifically.
Mhm.
I know that someone is dealing with this head on of these are the dynamics in my family. I'm very willing to see them as they are, but I'm going to be very careful about not letting them bite me in such a manner where it becomes an emotional burden.
Mhm.
Even if I have to play a part where not enable them, but to love them for who they are, but not, and to maybe cut them some slack when I know they're not doing stuff that maybe is right, or they're going down paths that I know or maybe are not right, but that I'm going to accept it, and then I'm going to be able to move along with it in such a manner that the whole soul group rises. And another, I know I'm talking a lot, but another indication of that is when you say, in the very beginning, I'm having a conversation with my mom, and she tells me about a guy that Aunt Dara is friends with, and I say, I know she's having an affair. My mom had a look like, dang, don't tell her I said that. And I said, I can see it and it makes sense. I remember how Uncle Gary had the pornography issue, and she's probably sick of being betrayed. That's like a dead ringer for it. You know what your soul group
Totally.
is through.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can give, and you should tell me if this rings true for you. If I see this dream without knowing your background, this is someone who knows the soul group dynamics,
Yep.
is not going to apologize for them,
Mhm.
is going to see them head on,
Mhm.
is emotionally impacted by them. They can be stinging sometimes. They can feel as if I'm being hunted by them sometimes, right? But that I
Mm,
know this person has the ability to see past them
yeah.
and to understand the soul dynamics of them.
Okay.
Any way that comes up. And I would also know from this dream that this soul person, this being who is having this dream, understands that different soul members are going to have different experiences with this
Mhm.
dynamic,
Yeah.
right? And that that's okay,
Yeah.
right? And I think that and I'll ask you this. This doesn't seem like it, this is a problem that is seems as if it's been in your family for a bit. Do you have the ability to see this problem for what it is and navigate it much different in your adult life than you would have when you were younger,
Oh yeah. No, I'm way past that. I'm way past
right?
that. Yeah.
Because
I'm past
that's
that
what,
now.
right?
Right.
And that's what I see in the dream
I
is that
think that, oh, I think that,
yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely past that now.
yeah. Because you
I,
can see it that you've grown, like it's
yeah,
no
no,
the
I'm
same
more of the
thing.
observer now, not,
Yeah,
not,
right,
not the, less the experiencer
right,
because I don't have to take their experience and personalize it in any way.
exactly.
Right.
And
So,
that might have been harder when you were younger.
right. So when I was younger, that was impossible because these
Right,
were people that were supposed to be
caring for me.
anchored for me and
That's right.
grounded, and there was no such thing as a safe environment when abuse, addiction, and sex work was a part of my daily landscape.
That's
Like
right.
that's not that
Precisely.
right. So
Like,
no, I had big feelings about it when I was little, right?
yeah,
Because all of my needs were never met.
that's
Uh,
right.
and
And this is what's
safety
coming
wasn't
up
even safety was a
like a priority,
fantasy.
right?
Yeah, it was a fucking
Yeah,
fantasy.
right.
Um,
And that's
so
what that's the sorry to interrupt you, but that's exactly why I asked is that's the last half of this dream.
yeah,
So it's not that this is a current theme of I feel hunted by. I mean, maybe sometimes
yeah.
you do, right? But it's like maybe it's
Mm,
emotionally a burden sometimes. But it's more of the second half of that dream is pointing towards this is a emotional echo of what it might have been stinging for me earlier.
yeah.
This is how I'm seeing it now, and this is how I'm balancing that delicate little dance of I'm accepting my family members for who they are, warts and all, but I'm living my own life and I'm raising the soul group, and specifically for Brayden,
Right.
right?
So
That- yeah,
um, that actually was something I wanted to touch base on. Do you
yeah.
have anything else to offer? Because I was gonna, do you want to
I would
talk about that?
say I will say one more thing about this, and then it's actually a great sequence of dreams because I'll say only this. The very beginning one, where you're like,
Hmm.
I'm missing my flight, I'm being told there's no flights,
Yeah,
directly correlates to this, and I'll explain to you
it
how,
totally does.
right?
Yeah, I know how, but yeah, I want to hear
You
your
know how, right?
explanation. Yeah,
And it's really cool because you already know from being such an avid stream student,
right.
and it's cool for like people who are studying that may be listening to this. When you are missing a flight and no flights were available, right? So we're on a journey, we're trying to get somewhere, right? Or just a journey in general.
Mhm.
And it's telling you no new flights will be available to the Aries season, right? But you're having on February the 25th. On February the 25th, we had Mercury go into retrograde into Pisces. And
Mhm.
2 or 3 days before it, we had Saturn and Neptune in the first time in a very long time go into Aries.
Ah, okay.
The astrology of what's happening is literally coming down in your dream for you.
Mhm.
And when you were
Which that
talking about,
happens often because I also
right?
know astrology.
That's great. That's awesome. And it was when you were talking about, I was freaked out because I was prepared for 2 days and not 2 months, and I didn't have food or water. So it's like I don't have the sustenance that I need, that I think I'm really going to need.
Mhm.
And I want to speak to a supervisor about this. I want to go to a higher power
Yeah,
and to a
I'm
higher,
challenging my contract fuckers.
right? Exactly. And the two is like literally an indicator. And, someone could say, we could add up the two and two. I think that you should just go with the number two that is presented for you in 2 days or 2 months. And two is literally about duality, values, but also relationships.
That's exactly
So
what
we
it's
know
about.
immediately of the opener of this dream, even if you feel like it was a separate one, we're
Right.
talking about relationships. And it
Right.
literally unfolds in the second paragraph of Aunt Dara comes up, my mom comes up, Brayden, all of the cast of characters in this soul dynamic of relationships. So I just wanted to say that briefly to really show you it probably was a separate dream, but they all have this beautiful
Same.
dynamic
Yeah.
that comes together.
Same
What you,
message, same outcome.
yeah,
Yeah. So if you're open to it and you have
yeah,
time,
yeah,
I would love to give you my spin on as I'm writing my dreams down, what's coming up for
yeah.
me in my head.
Go
Right.
ahead. And I want to talk about the third paragraph only if we have time, but go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the missing my flights, and the twos coming up, um, and the not having the sustenance.
Yeah.
So for me, I go, okay, there's something here that I'm afraid I can't survive this shift, right? Like
Right.
I'm afraid that I'm not going to have the means to make it through this shift and it's going to take longer than I had hoped. But
Sure.
also the significance being on April 20th. So I
Mhm.
know that that shift's coming up very quickly
Sure.
and that is indicative of the actual dream date, April 20th, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, right now I happen to be in a relationship, a
Okay.
romantic relationship that has taken on a we're in a transitional phase. I'm just going to say
Gotcha.
that we're in a very
Gotcha.
transitional phase.
Yep.
Um, and there are a lot of themes that have come up around this relationship.
Yep.
So a lot of inner child stuff has surfaced, hence all the
Yeah.
other bullshit coming up, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
I'm going to move into the dream itself. I'm
Yep.
talking to my mom, and she's telling
Yep.
me about a guy that my aunt is friends with.
Yep.
And I could already see in my mind the picture of them having an affair. My mom didn't say the words, but
Sure.
I already knew. And
Sure.
she was like, "Oh shit, don't tell her I told you that," and blah, 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 blah,
Sure.
blah. So there are also transitions that have recently transpired between um, myself and the aunt.
Mhm.
I am very displeased with her right now.
Okay.
And it's more about seeing the truth for who she is and where she's at,
Mhm.
as opposed to this is just some new thing. This is the
Sure.
frequency she's always been in. This is
Gotcha.
also something my mom and her never outgrew, the victim mentality, the let's gossip behind people's backs, it's just so childish and fucking
Right.
petty and stupid.
Right.
And I'm just like, have fun with that. I've outgrown this stuff
That's right.
ages ago, right?
That's right.
So,
That's
but
right.
it's coming up, and then the betrayal with the uncle and all the
Mhm.
things. And so when I get through all of that, yes, there is a sense of these inner wounds that are being surfaced to look at, especially because there's a transitional phase in my own relationship. And
Yep.
it's like, hey, remember, if you ignore these, what these turn into, like the monsters.
Sure.
Okay. This is what
Sure.
happens when we ignore our insights or intuitions. When our boundaries aren't firmed up, the monsters come, hence the Frankenstein. and the exploitation and all the things. Now, what's fascinating about this is when the monster comes, I find him repulsive, which is why he's a monster. I'm repulsed, right? I'm
That's
like,
right.
ew,
That's right.
ugly, gross. This is foreign to me because I don't live that world anymore. Like I don't
Yeah,
live in that
that's
world. So the closest thing I could do was grab wasp spray because he's a mild irritant. Like he's like, whatever.
sure.
I don't have
Sure.
to engage in that. This can be very
That's
mild,
right.
right?
Right.
I can
That's
take
right.
care of this with a little bit of spray, whatever. Super
That's
easy,
right. That's
done and
right.
over with. And then this is also with the Bible being unfolded and the family tree and all the things.
Yep.
These have been themes that have repeated in our ancestry for a very long time. And the reminder is that I was set here to break those cycles. And I knew that. My soul knew that, and I've been breaking those cycles.
Yep.
For my kids, hence Brayden showing up and being a good example of there's no addiction. He works hard. He's got a good foundation. This is proof in the pudding that I am breaking the cycles.
That's
That
right.
is the proof.
That's right.
And there's proof that, my cousin, she's done it in a religious way, but she's also breaking cycles.
That's right.
So it's just proof that uh, we are changing the status quo, no
That's
matter what form that takes,
right.
right?
And this is, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make a point right there because it's exactly what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Literally said in the dream, I remember asking Brayden if cousin Carrie gave him this Bible or was it Aunt Dara, right?
Yeah.
Really wanted to know, like, in an essence, what the soul is asking there is, all right, are we talking about the Aunt D variant of working with the soul group dynamic that we all share in different ways? Or are we talking about Carrie, right? So it's
Hmm.
literally like we're talking about the family tree. We're talking about also the spiritual aspects of the family tree. And we're
Hmm.
starting to understand about you as you digest all of this and looking at it in a dream. Where is Brayden fitting in this mass? And where are we all fitting with all of our like woes and our warts? How are we evolving? Right? So yeah, that's
Hmm.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, and I would say also this and that's really cool that you find that because you see it's like coming to an understanding and doing it in a manner where you're using a framework and symbolism and
Hmm.
doing it where you're doing symbolism with your own intuitive understanding, right?
Hmm.
And it's specifically that last part about using the wasp spray, especially it being like, a wasp spray, something that's like irritating, right? And
Yeah.
then have to go into like this placation, right? I have to go into and seduce him. He wants to make sure I'm doing it and I'm real. It's
Hmm.
talk, and it's probably really going on that wound that you would correctly identify, where you were saying, okay, I'm going in a transition in my own relationship. I'm really not happy with the cast of characters like Aunt Dara. And these
Hmm.
these concepts of placation or enabling, even when I don't want to, could be
Yeah.
triggered as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that part of the dream is showing you. And not in a way of like, oh, this is gonna happen. Like some people who don't understand would be like, oh God, it's literally gonna happen. That's not true. It's
Right.
simply like, let me show you what's getting triggered right now because it's an emotional, psychological
Right,
dream.
because there was nothing prophetic in this. This was more about let's look at patterns. We're breaking down family traits
That's right.
here, and let's make sure that you remember that you have the power and you don't have to repeat these cycles.
That's right. And let me show you how you're going. And let me show you how far you've come. And let me show you how,
Yeah.
the difference between Carrie and Brayden. Like, not comparison, but here they are, and here they're
Hmm.
going soul patterns.
Hmm.
And all of these things that you have identified from them have been stuff that you have April, has combated in this life, or not
Hmm.
even like also the good parts about being grounded and stable
Hmm.
or it's stuff that you've dealt with in a different life, right? In a different soul life where maybe you went the route of Andera as opposed to going the route a different route.
Well, and
So it's
that could be the symbolism of, like you said, the Frankenstein coming from the past or the coming back to be like, hey, I can invite you back. And I'm like,
precisely
yeah, but
right.
here's my boundaries and I don't have to do that.
Yeah. Right. And you're a bit of a stinging problem represented by the wasp. I want to get you in your eyes so you go away.
Yeah.
Right. And
Or
then it's like
also, that could also be, let me change the way you're looking at this,
it
right?
could be. it's probably, and that's where you get into the nuances of a dream, right? And you'd have to sit with that one a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It could be more of, I need to understand the full complexity of this little my personal monster,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing like it's a irritating problem and not a spray won't combat it. I have to see it for warts and all,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I also have to see that even if I was a child, that's why I asked about the child aspect of it. Even
Mm-hmm.
if I had to enable it as a child or I had to placate it because I was not safe,
Right.
right? I know that that too is going to get triggered. And I know that now from the emotional and psychological insight I've gained, I don't need to do that, right? I don't
Right.
need to do, I don't, and that for me is, by the way, how it floats into that last dream, into the paragraph, because
Right.
there it takes a total different turn,
Totally
right?
different. And also, I think I said at the bottom, I remember Josh being there. So Josh, just real quick,
Mhm.
is he is deceased.
Okay.
And he is my, well, I guess it doesn't matter. He's a stepbrother type
Okay.
connection, and he comes to me often. He's with me a lot, actually. He's
Interesting.
the pain in the ass brother that he always was, right? So
Okay,
like,
got it.
so which I adore.
Right, but protective of you,
Super,
protective, and
super.
got it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
got it, got it.
So I just wanted to throw that out because it's not really in the dream, but like it
Yeah,
is a
right.
part of it.
That's important. It's
Yeah.
great.
So
Yeah. And so that's a little bit of, and so that's the great of this dream. Like you literally see at the top of the paragraph, the number two. Like if we were to take everything away and only focus on that number two, we
mm-hmm,
immediately know from that first paragraph, all right, we're having a message on relationships here. This is about
mm-hmm.
relationships of all kinds, romantic, familia, soul, like you
All
name
of
it.
it.
And
Yeah.
that's like a pattern that the soul really wants you to know, hey friends, we're talking about relationships, and then you could go even further. Like you could only take that first paragraph and get four messages for yourself today,
Oh, for
you know?
sure. Yeah.
And you could be like, what is not providing you with physical or spiritual sustenance?
Right.
What do you feel like you want to talk to the supervisor about, even if it's
Mm,
your own higher
yeah.
power,
Why am I challenging this authority? What am I
right?
unhappy about?
And I know that there is because of astrologically what was happening at the time, when Saturn and Neptune went into Aries, we have a very kind of like powerful, emboldened spirit of sticking up for ourselves, of not
Yeah.
taking shit. And
Which is exactly where I'm at.
there you
I
go.
mean, that's pretty much like my half my work and my purpose anyway, but like there are moments when they are emphasized, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
And so we could take that first paragraph and we would have four messages for you to take home and start today, right? As
Yeah.
homework.
Yeah.
And the
Love that.
second paragraph is, looking a little bit of like some deeper emotional and psychological issues, but also soul ones of soul
Yeah.
work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the third paragraph, even if it was like a separate dream or maybe even morphed into it, we know that things are taking on a very different dynamic in relationships, and one
Mhm.
that feels a little bit easier and a little bit lighter and is a new birth.
Yeah.
And that's represented by it being Easter at the
Easter.
party
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
going to the celebration. And it's
Hmm.
a little bit like I know there is something coming and I know it's a positive transition. And
Yeah.
I know that it'll be a different commitment represented by the ring, right? Represented
Hmm.
by the gift.
The
And
engagement.
and right? And then like the third one again is like a shift happens in the dream where you can energetically even feel it.
Hmm.
And it's like I'm looking at this from a different standpoint, even to the extent of, and you have to tell me if that vibes for you, but even to maybe certain
Yeah.
patterns that maybe you haven't loved with the way that your mom has been involved in relationships or the way that she has viewed them or support you had, like even that is a dynamic that you're going to be able to look at, accept, and move around. And
Well,
that's what
yeah,
that
because I think all of us, we are products of our environment. So we are impacted by the people that raise us. And the
right.
one thing I don't want to do is repeat those mistakes, right?
That's right.
Or their, whatever their capacity for relationships looks like.
That's
I
right.
don't want it to look like that for me, right?
Well, and the dream even says it won't, because it's like
Right.
you could accept in that moment literally what you said before about Aunt Dara and your mom, like victimhood, but also secrets and gossipy and stuff.
Yeah.
You
So
said, but my mom
nasty.
right? But my mom forgot it was a secret and said something about the engagement ring being beautiful, and she blew the whistle accidentally, right?
Mhm.
But even in the dream, you're given an indication of, but it like the dream could have then taken on where I got mad at my mom, and then this happened, and then everything exploded, but it didn't in the dream. It was like,
Mhm.
all right, we're gonna find a new way of doing
We'll
this.
just figure it out. We'll shift.
That's right. And the what you can take from it is the ring specifically, and
Mhm.
specifically that it was a party and
There
that
was
it's
a
happening
celebration.
the
Yeah.
celebration. We know that it's been a dream of relationships indicated to us by the number 2 in the first paragraph. We know that this relationship will take on a different dynamic that feels, and that's why you can go back to the emotion. This dream, this third paragraph feels lighter, feels better, feels
Hmm.
celebratory, right?
Yeah.
We know that that relationship is transitioning into a different pattern,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Great
totally.
dream.
Yeah,
Great dream.
great. Yeah. And
Um,
honestly, all of my dreams that I record are like this extent.
right?
They're all so fucking layered. And
Yep.
anywhere between 1 and 6, like take your pick. Like it's
Right?
always so much.
And it's really
Um,
cool to see how even the fragmented ones are telling a story, right?
yeah.
Sometimes we're and I will just say this as a bonus for you because you are a psychic medium. People can do this, but they need to do it after maybe they've had a little bit of dream study time.
Hmm.
If you were to look at this dream right now, and we've gone through the symbols, right? You
Hmm.
can pick any paragraph you want, but what for you stands out, April, as being like a really strong symbol?
One that we haven't talked about.
Or one that we have talked about. Like of
Okay.
all the people that we talked about, it can be a person, it could be a number, it could be a color, it could be the Bible. Like if
I
of
mean,
all,
all of them, I can't say all of them,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I
all of
would-
them are strong symbols for me.
for you,
And there's
I would.
even universal ones in there.
That's right. I would say, and this is like this is something that I love to give to psychic mediums, but also people that have done a bit of dream study. If you take one of the anchor symbols, and let's just say that maybe you wanted to
I
take,
would say Easter is a good one for rebirth.
that's
I would
good.
say Aries season for upcoming shifts is a really good one.
It's a really good one. What about if you were to like think back in your dream, could you still see that family tree, how it looked in the Bible? If you could draw it up in your imagery in your mind, can you still see how that looked?
No, I can't see it now.
Yeah. So it works
No,
really, yeah, it
I
works
can't.
really well with symbols that you can draw back. But here's what I love to tell people. This is the way to take an anchor symbolism in the dream and take the awareness of the dream even further. And what you do is you would pick a symbol for you, let's say the air like Aries, right? The sign, the glyph of Aries, or even Easter, whatever you associate with it, right? And draw up a symbol in your mind, right?
Okay.
Go into meditation, shift your awareness in a state where you really feel relaxed and you really feel you're entering your soul mind and draw up that symbol, whatever it is, right?
Okay.
And let's say, for instance, it was the Holy Bible for you. You don't need to do it, but just for like the sake of your listeners,
Okay.
draw back the imagery of how did it look in the dream? How did it smell? Did you touch it? Was there awareness around it? Like, did it have writing on it?
I think
And
if I was going to do that, it would be the Frankenstein. If anything
do the
that if it was anything I was going to do that with, it'd be the
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Then bring up the Frankenstein and see what other message of the dream can be relayed to you in the waking state.
Okay.
And that's a way to like take a dream and go even further with it, right? Because
Yeah.
invariably what happens for a psychic medium is very powerful. But
Hmm.
for someone that's into dream studies, it's remarkable because just like your soul uses eyes to go about your daily life, but your soul reads symbolism,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so when you take a symbol anchor from the dream and go like one more layer into it, it can speak to you in a myriad of ways. It can show
Yeah.
you a further nuance of what's going on, give you advice. I just like to give it to people who are a little bit well versed in dreams, which you clearly are, because it's another way of just getting another layer, right? If you want to, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And it's better done with symbols that felt very real and very present in the dream.
Okay.
It's a good way to
Okay.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Fun stuff.
Right. So
Very
that's a
fun
way of
stuff.
yeah, that's a way of doing it where you can get intuitive messages, but also like working with a framework, right? And then
Yeah.
identifying that emotion in the very beginning is a really easy way for people to dip their toes in the dream water because invariably, whatever that emotion is, that's what the dream is pinpointing to in your waking life. Like wherever you're dealing with that emotion in your waking life, this is what the dream is about.
Yep. And it's on point for sure. All of that. Yeah.
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 Very good.
Very good, lady. Very good. I can tell you've done your work. Like
I'm sure you
I could tell that you practice what you preach. Like very good.
yes, for
Yes.
sure. And
Yes.
it's a labor of love, right? Our
Yeah.
dreams are literally the story of our soul, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's fascinating and it's never ending.
Beautiful. So with that being said, where can people find you? Like where do you prefer, the traffic to be
Yeah.
driven?
So, if people are interested in learning a little bit more about dreams and learning a little bit more about some tips about how for personal symbolism or how to get started, they can go to my website at clairefalcon.com. And I have a free class that is there. You can see it right on my website. It's called Free Class. And there it's like a workshop about talking about universal symbolism. I go through a dream framework. I even go through some of my students' dreams and explain to them about how to interpret it, how to use it, what it's representing, and they can learn a lot about it. So it's completely free. It's about an hour. It's a workshop base, and that's probably a really good way for to delve a little bit deeper into the dream world and just to get to know my work.
I love that. And also, we are going to include the information for that workshop in the show notes. So that'll
Awesome.
definitely be there. And then, Claire, is there anything else that you want to say before we end? I want to make sure we had time to cover all the things.
Well, first of all, to April, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blast talking to you. Thank you for also agreeing to submit one of your dreams. I love that when people are willing to do that, and especially with how I can tell you're a prolific dreamer, so it makes the job very easy and it's a great teaching moment. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me, April.
Yeah.
And I would say that, the dream world specifically, if you are curious about developing your intuition, it is a wonderful way to start for all of the reasons that we've talked about today. And it's something that you can start tonight. And it's literally, even if you want to start, all you need is a pen and paper. And that's how you can get started. Just start jotting your dreams down, and you will see how it opens up a whole world of soul communication.
Yeah, I would second that. So, yeah,
Start.
absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Claire. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Bye, you guys. See you next time.